Hello everyone, Ado here, Homeless Services Manager with Cross Care, a member of the Social Care Workers Board at Carew, a member of the Consultative Forum for Former Residents in Mother and Baby Homes and Allied Institutions. Today, what would I like to address? So briefly, I was having to think about relationships in social care and what that means for us and what happens when those relationships fracture or collide, or when they just don't quite meet our expectations, or when they don't work well for us, or when just when something goes a little awry. Social care in its truest form is really about the relationship that you and I and everyone else is willing to have with the person who at any time is sitting opposite us. It's really that simple. There are, of course, are complexities to that as well, if that's not kind of a strange thing to say, but it really is that simple. We know that people living with trauma, wherever that trauma may emanate or may have started, we know that one of the best ways of helping someone to learn to live with their trauma, because you don't get rid of trauma, but learn to live with it, is through congruent, respectful, caring, loving, boundaried relationships. And in essence, that's what we try to do every day, no matter what sector we work in, whether it's disabilities, mental health services, homeless services, children's residential services, family support services, youth detention services, adult detention services. It doesn't matter. Whatever sector you're working in, the best work you will do is that one-to-one relationship piece of work. And that's the piece of work that I'm talking about, aside from the tasks, aside from the key working and all of that other stuff. It's those one-to-one relationships, and within that there's a certain vulnerability on both sides. Those that we share that experience with may share with us a lot of their life and their life story and their life history, and we may in turn inevitably end up sharing something as well. Sometimes we overshare, and we have to be very careful of that and careful of those boundaries. But then when for some reason it goes wrong, those that we're trying to share that relationship with, in a moment of turmoil or in a moment of angst, throw it back in our faces. And it's happened to me many, many times where I've been threatened and called names and your son's only this and that, and your wife is blah, and just all of that sort of very personal and deep seated stuff that can really make us angry. A threat to your spouse or your child is just not good. So what do we do with that? I mean, the first thing we need to do after the fact is to sit and look at our own reaction to it. How did it make us feel? We should always ask that, to use the Kolb cycle. How did that make me feel? And then the what, the where, the why. Why did it make me feel that way? And then, what action comes out of that then? What do I need to look at? Is there any basis in the threat whatsoever? Is it realistic? And then when you look at the person opposite you, away from the actual event, it's going, why did they feel they needed to do that? What was happening for them that they became so angry or so emotional that they used a threat that really cut through me? And in everyday relationships that we have with our brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, friends, cousins, lovers, mothers, fathers, we share with them our very vulnerable moments, and sometimes within that, when they're angry with us, they throw some of those vulnerable moments back in our face. Is it not the very same thing? It may just be that in times of turmoil for someone else, that they offend the person who shows them the most love and the most care and the most respect. And really what happens then is, it's how do we deal with that? How do we rebalance ourselves so that we can go back and support and care and show love and respect for that individual, so that they then too can grow from that? Doesn't mean that you never talk about it. Of course, in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you might sit down with that person and say, do you remember that conversation we had? And you said A, Y, X, Y, Z. I was really hurt by that. What was going on for you at that time? What led to you, doing that? Where was your head? How were you feeling? So that's just a little thought. I mean, it's really more about you exploring it than anything else. So, talk to you all soon. Cheers.